Hello and welcome to our weekly IG Live. We are going to be talking today with author Deedee Cummings about her Christmas book, In the Nick of Time 2. If you've missed our previous IG Lives, you can go back and look at our YouTube channel and you can see not only all the interviews we've done with other authors, but also the talks we've had with Deedee Cummings, and including where she's talked about, where she's talked about her Christmas book. So we are going to be talking more about it. That's In the Nick of Time 2. That is a sequel to In the Nick of Time, which came out also recently. They're both Christmas stories. They're really beautiful stories and have amazing artwork by Charlene Mosley. And we'll probably get to see a few spreads of that, of the book. Like I said, you can also go back on our Instagram. Hello, welcome everybody. You can go back and look and see all of those. But it's a beautiful story and it gets to what the real spirit of the holiday is, especially as a young boy discovers what Santa looks like and what that means for you. And so, hello, welcome. We're going to be talking to author Deedee Cummings about her new book, the new Christmas book, joining from Bronx, New York. Wow, The Secret of the Plátano, that sounds really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to go check that out when we're done. Because we love to support other authors, and if you go back and look at our archives, we actually have a lot of interviews of authors. Make sure that went through. Thank you for getting on and joining us. Hello.
Hi, how are
Good.
you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was actually posting to social media and lost a little bit of track of time. That's crazy.
That's what happens, isn't it?
It is social media, man. I was just talking to somebody earlier today about how I would kind of like to come off of social media altogether because it is so consuming, but it is the world we live in now. And I've met so many people, like I was just noticing Luz Mac Official, that I hope I'm saying that correctly, that just commented, there are so many people that I never would have connected with if it weren't for social media. So
like you, I don't know if I ever would have met you if it hadn't been for social media.
That's true. That's true. You and connected through social media, but I'm not trying to bash social media. There's a lot about it that's great, like meeting people, but man, it's time consuming. Just talking from an author standpoint, you want to get the word out there about what you do, but you also don't want to spend your time that way. Right. So it's a lot.
Especially this time of year when you really want to be spending time with your loved ones and then have to do your work on. I think my problem with it is that it never ends.
Yes.
You know, it's not like an office job you go, but if you're on social media, it's 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it is. And then you have this pressure to keep up with, whatever's going on.
Right.
And if you really want to grow your social media following, you should be on top of those trends. And that's something I've never really been able to do. I just try to come on social media and be my authentic self. And today I think we're going to talk about the book I just released. Is that right? I'm not even sure. But I hope that we help people in some way. I hope that parents join us and that they learn sometimes things that we talk about for families, especially as it relates to mental health and behavioral health. And then I know sometimes we have authors join us too. And so if there's any authors on today, and if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Oh, and that last person that just joined, she's my Bennett sister. PMG 1632, we actually went to college together. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy you're on. But if there's any authors on today and you have any questions, this book, In the Nick of Time 2, is my latest release. I'm very proud of it for many reasons, but for one reason, because there aren't that many books in the world with the Black Santa Claus.
Yes.
And so I just think it's a special story for that reason. But also, that book has been, for the past couple weeks, the #1 new release in Black and African American children's books, which I'm just so thrilled about that. That It's not that I want like the award or the accolade. I want to know that the story is resonating with people. And so if it's climbing a chart in that way, then I feel like it's resonating with people. So I'm just so happy for this, and for this book. Thank you for anybody that's on that may have gotten the book. I appreciate the support.
It really is beautiful, and I think people are responding. I mean, we've talked about this before about how it is, I mean, that you shouldn't take it as a book for just for Black kids, that it's important for all kids to think about what does Santa really look like, and what does that mean, and really what's the whole spirit of Christmas about.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I hope that when people see that it's the #1 new release on the Black and African American children's list on Amazon, I hope that people don't think that that means that it's a book that only Black families buy. I want people to remember that for years, for decades, we, as a whole entire country, bought books with just white people,
right,
or inside of the book, and that was fine. I'm not criticizing those books. You know, I loved all those books. I love Matilda. I love Beverly Cleary. I loved Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. All these stories were featuring white characters. Nancy Drew. I love Nancy Drew, and I can't honestly remember if there was ever a Black character in Nancy Drew, although there were many characters in Nancy Drew. I don't think a Black one, but it's okay. I loved those books. So I hope that people know that just because something is on the #1 new release for Black books, that doesn't mean that they're only for Black people. They're for everyone.
And for those who haven't read this one, I mean, in the first book, the main character is Nick, and it's an African American family, and he and his family are still prominent in the second book, but the one whose journey we're following is actually a little white boy.
Yes.
Okay, wouldn't you say that he's kind of the protagonist of the second one?
Yes.
Even though Nick and his family are still still central, but it's about him thinking about this whole issue about it. So it is kind of funny that it would be in a release for Black children's books when like the main character is white, but
yeah. I think it's still a Black story because I think that Nick in the book, I know that my real life Nick, I encourage him all the time to go outside and play with kids, and only recently did he kind of reveal to me how difficult it has become to make new friends, because he said that he wants to make new friends and he wants to play with kids in the neighborhood and he wants to meet people, but he said that recently, you know, a lot of his friends have made statements, and they're statements, you know, that we're hearing in the news. And I mean, not to be political, but we had a president who openly bullied people.
right.
And so a lot of that behavior, to me, it feels like, you know, we've always had bullies, but to me, it feels a little more prominent, and people feel a little bit more bold in saying things that they shouldn't say.
Right.
And I think that my own Nick has definitely, my real life Nick has felt that. And so another reason I wanted to write this book is because I want people to understand that, you know, it's okay to like ask questions about things. You know, we don't have to be like, you know, I always wanted to know this, but I'm afraid to ask. If the person's really your friend, then you'll know their heart and you'll know that their question is genuine. And so even though Cooper is very prominently talked about, the white character is very prominently talked about in the book, I still want people to understand that this is a lot of Black kids' experience, where sometimes kids from another culture, and maybe any minority kids experience, where sometimes kids from another culture, when the culture is geared towards you always, then a lot of questions are out there. You know, we know what kind of shampoo the majority culture wants to use. We know what kind of drinks they drink. We know it's, you know, it's the minority cultures that we haven't really seen prominently displayed in books and in media. And so I hope that this book will encourage more conversation about, you know, how to solve problems, or just how to talk about stuff. You know, we don't have have to be afraid to approach certain subjects. But I know my real life Nick has struggled with people making some statements and not taking the time to find out whether those statements are accurate or not.
Right. And I think this book too, what's so beautiful about it is it shows the friendship between these two boys and how different it is when we invite each other into our
Mm-hmm.
homes. So they're not just friends at school. They're actually, Cooper's spending the night at Nick's house. And so that's when you really get immersed in somebody else's family and their
Yeah.
tradition. That's when these questions come up. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, they have such a great relationship that they can talk about these things. And it's like a safe space for them to ask questions and find out, instead of, like you said, just saying things and not really trying to see if it's true or not.
I totally agree. I agree that we need more safe spaces to have these conversations, and that, you know, a lot of times we do learn when we are in someone else's um, culture or in someone else's space. That's kind of the best place to learn, because a
Right.
lot of times we don't even know that something is a thing until we go to somebody else's house and we
Right.
what they cook and we see what they watch and we see what books they read. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking about those things. But, you know, I could go on and on. I'm only showing the book again because I know we have new people who just came on, but I could go on and on and on about this book, In the Nick of Time too. But I also just want to make sure that I'm ending the year by thanking everyone who has supported me as author, Deedee Cummings, or also supported our company, Makeaway Media. I want to encourage anyone who's on to become a reviewer for Multicultural Children's Book Day, which is a board that I serve on and a mission I believe in very, very much. So I don't just write the books, I talk the talk, I walk the walk. I strongly support Multicultural Children's Book Day. If you're interested, please DM me and I'll send you more information about it. But Multicultural Children's Book Day is also looking for reviewers right now. So if you are interested in reviewing books to help us get the word out there about how special books that are different, books that you can't always find in the library, books that you can't always find in a classroom. If you want to help us get the word out about these books, that would be great.
And you
And also, what'd you say?
you get a free book. If you sign up to be a book reviewer, you get a book to review, and you could even pick if you want to do an African American book, if you want to do Native American, Latinx, whatever. You can be that specific when you pick it, and then you get a free book and you get to help promote them. Or if there's any authors who are on and you want to participate, you can go and find out how you can get your book to be a part of the process and have your book reviewed by people that sign up to review.
Yeah, it's a really cool organization and a great event. So I hope that people want to learn more about it. Also, I just wanted to see, is anybody on that has any questions for me? I realize that sometimes I come on and I talk about my work, but I don't give a lot of time to ask questions about it. I want everyone to know I'm a lot older than I look. And I didn't publish my first book until I was 45 years old. So, you know, a lot of times people think that you're supposed to be an author in your 20s and then you're an author for your entire career. I want you to know, like, your whole life has phases. And if there's something you want to do, we're about to start a new year, 2023, and there's no better time to really think about what it is that you want to do. So if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you're interested in learning about the process of writing a book, this would be a great time to ask. But next year, Leanne, I hope that we spend a little bit more time. This is something that just came to me, an idea I want to do. Whenever I'm on, I know we have guests on all the time, which is great. But whenever I'm on, I'm hoping that we'll take a little bit more time to interact with people and find out if people have dreams that they want to talk about too. That would be awesome.
Do you make New Year's resolutions?
Dreams come true.
Do you make resolutions, or do you have any tips for people? Because I know we talk a lot in the channel while we're waiting. Of course, everybody, please comment if you have any questions. But we talk a lot about making dreams come true. Do you have any tips for making resolutions? Do you find them useful for people who are trying to make something happen?
I always think setting goals is useful. Always. Planning is useful. I don't really make resolutions, but a few years ago, I started picking a word of the year.
Mm,
Why? But that has kind of helped me a lot. I always thought, I heard of people doing that, and I always thought it was kind of silly, kind of hokey, kind of like
right.
getting a little piece of paper out of a little cookie. Like, I just didn't really think that it was something that was um, beneficial. But one year I picked a word and I found that I meditated on that word all year long.
Mm,
And what was so helpful about it was I even have on my wall here in the office, because I get pulled into so much stuff. On my wall in the office, I have this sign that says, focus, what do you have time for? And the reason why picking that word was so helpful to me is because it helped me focus. And so whenever I would get pulled into something, I would think, oh, that's interesting, that's neat, that's cool.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but does it align with that word?
Right.
And it was just a really quick, easy way to help keep me kind of focused and on track.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, I appreciate you asking this, because I do want to share this. I need to write a blog about it. I just hadn't had time. But this year, I heard Steve Harvey, which I'm a huge Steve Harvey fan, but I do like his morning show.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Steve Harvey use the word relentless, and he was talking about having to be relentless when you pursue your passion, and that is so true. And so that is going to be my word of the year for 2023. So I do try to set some intentions. I do try to set some resolutions, but I have found, for me, and everybody's different, picking a word of the year that really means something to me helps center me all year long. So I picked relentless because of the way he was talking about following your dreams. And it's so true. I mean, dreams are not easy. And nobody ever said they would be, but we only get this one life. And if there's something that you really want to do, you have to make room for that. It's not going to fall out of the sky for most of us. I mean, some people get lucky and they hit the lottery, but for most of us, dreams and the way to make them happen don't fall out of the sky. But I personally believe that if you have been given a dream, you were given the dream as a gift. The dream belongs to you, not your neighbor, not your sister, not your friend, not your uncle, not your cousin. So you can't listen to them about what they think about your dream. The dream belongs to you. And if you've been given the dream, you have already been given the way to make it happen. But that's so hard for us to believe. So in 2023, I am going to be absolutely relentless about what it is I want to do for my career and how I can use my career to help other people, because I believe it'll help me stay focused even when the path looks hard, or even when the path looks impossible.
Mm-hmm.
If I keep my vision on being relentless in following my dreams, they will happen.
I love that. That I would say that word really describes you already, because you just no, in a good way, and because you are, I think you're very focused and you're very driven. So that's a great word. Yeah.
But sometimes other people can see in us what we have not yet seen in ourselves. So people describe me as that all the time. People always describe me as focused and driven, and maybe someone would use the word relentless. But I have to see it and feel it and hold on to it and work from that point. And I think, again, too, that's what makes choosing a word for yourself that you can kind of, like a mantra, you can come back to and reflect on and meditate on. I think that helps. That's what helps make it so powerful, because people can tell you that you're beautiful or you're special, but until you start acting that way, you won't see it.
Right.
So I'm going to
affirmation that people do.
Yeah. And that's how I used my word that I selected last time too. The word I selected last year was unprecedented. And I that word from Robert Hartwell, who He's been on Broadway and he's done a lot of stuff, and he just got a HGTV contract with the Property Brothers, and he's one of the few Black people to get a HGTV contract, because if you really think about it, you don't see a lot of Black people on the home improvement channels. And so he's somebody I admire, and he said his word of the year was unprecedented, and I loved that word. And I did have an unprecedented year. A lot of stuff happened last year, which I need to write a blog post about that too. When you're a writer, you know, it is just so hard to keep up with the business of being a writer, because it's not just printing a book, it's the social media and the answering the questions, and without blog posts and things like that, nobody will ever even know what you do. Right. So I have a whole formula for authors who want to try to get their word out there, and I hope to share that in 2023 also.
Wonderful. Well, I was just looking at the time, and speaking of being relentless, that's my job, is to keep you relentless, keeping us on track, because we want to be respectful of your time, and also for people watching. We try to keep it short and sweet, so you look forward to seeing us every week. And I didn't look at the schedule ahead of time. Are we doing one next week also? Well,
you know, I schedule, but maybe we should.
I always mean to look before. I meant to look before I got. I've been kind of running around this morning, but
just go ahead and announce to everybody we'll take next week off.
Okay.
Because it's so the holidays are falling weird this year.
Right.
So let's just take next week off and come back strong. Oh no, we can't take next week off. There's a guest speaker on next week, so everybody come back. That's right. There's a guest author on next week. So if you're interested in inspiration and writing, you've got to come back next week. I forgot, we have a guest speaker.
We've had some really amazing writers come on.
Oh,
and
man.
So I love getting to talk to them and find out what their process is and what motivates them. Because like you said, it can be a tough business to be in, but really rewarding at the same time.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I won't talk to you before then, I think.
Have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday to all celebrate anything. If you don't celebrate anything like that, have a wonderful, warm winter.
And a restful time with your family, a joyous time with your loved ones.
Have a happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.